Electra over the top has got up. Electra, the WA star, has won.
Welcome to Greyhound Gossip, featuring Peter O'Neill. This is where we take a look at the WA Greyhound racing scene, keeping a close look at what is happening on and off the track.
Keep an eye on the clock. She is brilliant, Miata. She stops the clock. 36.55, a new track record. A very good morning, everyone, and welcome along to Greyhound Gossip. What a massive weekend it was in greyhound racing here in Western Australia, with the Mandurah Middle Distance Challenge Final on Friday night down at Mandurah. And before we do get into that and go through the result of the weekend's chasing, we have got information through from the railway stewards and the grading department that tonight's meeting at Cannington, kennelling will now be between 6:10 and 6:50. The first race will now jump at 7:20 due to the heat conditions. That meeting has been pushed back. Of course, Friday night down at Mandurah, very good crowd on course in the warm conditions, and we had the final of the Greyhounds WA Mandurah Distance Challenge Final. And while she was beaten in her heat, she was able to bounce back and win the Mandurah Middle Distance Challenge, defeating the Shayne Williams trained Jamie Keeping. So flying Frida for Chris Holst winning there on Friday night. And then on Saturday night at Cannington, very good program there as well. We had heats of the Puppy Classic. Unfortunately for David Hobby, the pre-post favourite for the series, in the second heat of the Puppy Classic there on Saturday night. Just going to my race book. And, of course, I'm talking about Cubit Manelli has gone amiss and will be out for a little while. But a very smart win by Sunset Frazier, who flew over the 520 metres and was able to defeat Sunset Tyson in 29.68, scintillating run. And then Sunset Nightshow won the second heat over Sunset Pepe. David Hobby having the first four across the line in the opening heat. And then in the second heat, he was able to get the first two across the line. So 6 of the 8 finalists through to next week's feature final of the listed Puppy Classic final at Cannington. And the box draw has taken place, and also the market. So Apple Crumble, who was $81, $91 chance, given no chance of making it through to the final, is the $26 outsider. And he's come up with box number 1, just where you'd want an outsider to be in a feature final on Saturday night. So Apple Crumble in 1. It's going to be exciting to have a runner through to a feature final for the first time. Sunset Tyson in 2's currently at $3.40. Ghost Emoji $3.60. Sunset Frazier at $4. Sunset Pepe $8. Sneaky Emoji $6. Got the Cash the Victorian for Maddie Lanigan at $21 in box 7. Sunset Nightjar $8. The box draw has made it very interesting. There's a fair bit of early speed, as you'd expect, from the David Hobby kennel. And of course, he won this race last year, David, with Crumble Manelli, who went on to win the Derby and then also won the Sandgroper. He's won 3 of the last 4, and he's got a really strong hand, as you'd expect, in this week's feature final. Before we go to our first special guest, also on Saturday night at the Meadows, we had heats of the Australian Cup, and what a night of chasing it was. The pre-post favourite, Exquisite's unfortunately gone out and gone amiss, but in the opening heat, the Tab Touch slot holder runner Morton, he was the quickest qualifier. His favourite through to the final. Tab Touch is putting up their market as we speak. The box draw taking place tomorrow. But for trainer Jason Sharp and Jessica Sharp, he was scintillating, and he won from box number 2 over Alpha Zulu, making it through. Mapunga Smoky for Jeff Britton caused an upset, defeating Tim Zhu in the second of the semi-finals. Fernando Phil was an outsider, defeated Launch Code in the third. And then My Magic Man, the Tasmanian, now in the care of Brooke Ennis, was successful over Scalacci in the fourth of those finals. The Rookie Rebel went to succeed, defeating Aston Costello on Saturday night. Let's go into Greyhound Gossip, a man who had a very good night on Saturday night with a winner or two, and also finishing second in that feature final in the Mandurah Middle Distance Challenge on Friday night is Shayne Williams, and he joins us online this morning. Shayne, good morning.
Good morning, Pete. How are you, mate?
Yeah, going very well. You must have been happy with the way your team performed over the weekend.
Yeah, it was really good results over the weekend, Pete. Obviously, Jamie Keeping ran second on Friday night at the Middle Distance Challenge. She tried a little hard out, but Chris's and Linda's dog was just too good on the night. It was a good win by that dog. It had box 8. It's pretty hard to get over from out there, but full credit to the winner. It was just too good on the night. She's
going very well, Jamie Keeping, and so too is Stevie Manelli. What are your plans for the two of them going into the Perth Cup and Galaxy Carnival? Will you be trying to step them up over the 7.15?
Yeah, so I'm going to try and give them a run over 7.15 this week on at Kennington, obviously, over 7:15 on Saturday night, and then just make our mind up after that. But, yeah, we're hoping we can get them up for the Galaxy. Stevie Manelli, she goes really good, but for some reason I don't think she likes Kennington that much. So we're going to take her in Thursday morning and just give her a lead on and a walk on and try and get her confidence up. And Jamie will go in as well. So, yeah, she had one run over 700, Jamie, but I really couldn't get much out of her because she didn't lead. She bombed the start. So, yeah, we'll go again this Saturday. Hopefully there's a race there for them and see how we go, Pete.
And Nengar Chief showed that his first win in a Grade 5 a couple of weeks ago was no fluke, and he was able to bounce back. He stepped up in company and it was a really good win, while only narrow. It was a very good win over Uncle Tommy there on Saturday night.
Yeah, the merit of his win was really good, Pete, because at the first turn he railed underneath him, and that's what won him the race. And obviously with last week's abandoned meeting, you're always stuck in the middle of a rock, in the middle of a hard place, because 14 days between runs is not ideal, and well, we just elected to give him a bit of extra work at home and rather than trial him. So he's a naturally strong dog anyway, as you know, Pete. He's won over the 600. So, 14 days between runs, I thought, he finished the race off really well considering he missed last week's run. And, yeah, he's full steam ahead now to the Perth Cup. We might just give him a 600 the week before. I love just doing that and then dropping them back to the 500 for the Cup each. So hopefully we'll go around this week in another free-for-all, and then next week 600 and the Perth Cup each the following week.
Okay. Any other dogs that you know of coming across for the Perth Cup Carnival that will be staying at your place? No,
none that I know of that are staying here. But I think Lynn Smith's bringing the team over. We'll stay at Dave Hobby's, obviously. I'm not sure. Buddy Manelli, maybe. It was in the Melbourne Cup. That's the only one I know of. Obviously, Morton is coming as well. But, yeah, none staying here this year, Pete.
Okay, you've just come back from overseas, and, of course, you went across to Ireland and had a really good time over there with a few racing and chasing identities. You went to Clonmel for the coursing. Tell us about that, because I've seen some videos online and it looked like it was a massive crowd. Tell us how it actually all works over there.
Yeah, so it's probably the biggest event in Ireland greyhound racing, Pete. It's going back to the old days where there's just match racing, two dogs go up. It's actually in the middle of the Clonmel race horse track, and the two dogs pair off, and you've got to win an event throughout the year to make the Derby. So there's 64 in the Derby and 64 in the Oaks. You've got to win an event to get into it to start with. So it's grueling. There's 6 runs up the straight in 3 days. The first day they have 1 run, the second day they have 2 runs, and then the third day, if they make the final, they have 3 runs. So you've got to be very durable. And some of the bitches over there, Peter, in the coursing are 40 kilos. So they're bred totally different than circle track dogs. Mm-hmm. It was a massive event. There was at least 10,000 people there on the final day. And then the crowd was still big. 20 bookies, Pete. It was just like going back in time, something I've been wanting to do for a while. Obviously, Robbie Britton goes every year, and he's been at me to go, and this year I finally decided to go, and I just had the best time ever. I met some lovely people, some good people. All the people are there so friendly, Pete. We got into a taxi one night to go to dinner, and the Uber driver stopped the car in the middle of the road and ran into a Chinese restaurant to book us a table. Just stuff like that, and went to a greyhound trainer, Pat Buckley's place. He's probably one of the leading trainers over there. He's probably got about 22 dogs. He's got stud dogs as well. But a lot of the people there, Pete, they just have one dog in the backyard. There's no sort of, we went to Clonmel Circle racetrack on the Sunday night, and there was probably one van and one trailer, and all the rest were just cars. The people just brought their dog, to the race meeting that night in the back of their car. So, but the coursing was definitely the highlight. It's, I think it was €40,000 to the winner of the Derby and the Oaks, and I think Liam, I forget his name now, but Liam, he won both the Derby and the Oaks. So they're all about the Ballymac dogs, which are owned by, I think, a big bookmaker over there as well. So yeah, it was outstanding. I had a great time, and I'm going to be going again next year for sure.
We don't see it in Australia anymore, the coursing, due to what happened in 2016. Is there any antis over there, and is there any protests or anything? Because there's a massive crowd, as you mentioned, on course, over 10,000 people. So explain to us the situation there in regards to how that happens.
Yeah, so there's no antis down in Clonmel. There is antis there for the circle track racing, but the hares, Pete, they go there a month before the meeting, and they get educated to run up the hill when they go into a hut. They get trained to go into a hut. There's also a vet there on course for the hares, and they get vetted after they have. I'm assuming they only have one run a day up there, and like the dogs have got muzzles on. There was never harm in any hares there at all. But there are no antis down there. It's tradition down there, Pete. It's been going for 200 years. Everyone's so passionate about it, and they have coursing in Melbourne, but obviously just through with the drag lure or the arm at like Hillsville, but nothing like over there. But I'm not sure how long it'll keep going for. But it was just a real good event. It was, like I said, it was like going back in time. And like I say, they're very passionate about their racing over there. The Irish dogs, they go very good, Pete. I think they're a very good breed. A lot of the dogs from Ireland, when they finish up, go to England. I think the Ireland ground racing is a lot stronger than English racing. So, but yeah, it's a must-do, Pete. You have to put it on the bucket list and probably come next year. It was a great event. Like I said, had a great time. Everyone's so friendly. They love their Guinness over there. I couldn't get into that, unfortunately, but no, it was just a real good time. I could go back tomorrow, Pete, to be honest. It was just, a real good place.
Now, the other greyhound racing where they're going around corners, how strong is that at the moment? And the training's different over there, isn't it, in regards to the trainers have a certain amount of greyhounds and they don't take the 50% like we do here?
Yeah, no, so the prize money is very low at the outer country tracks. We went to Limerick. I think I've got the book in the bag. I think they might have raced for maybe €480, I think, so it's probably not even $1,000 Aussie. Obviously, 6-dog racing. They have the preferential box draw, the lures on the outside. The tracks were really good. I thought they were in real good nick. The facilities were good. We went to Limerick and had a 3-course meal. It was very good. And, yeah, I think a lot of the trainers there, they're just on 10% plus, like, similar to our horse trainers here. They get paid a weekly fee. And they're on a 10% fee there. So probably good for them because the prize money's so low. But, Shelbourne Park, we didn't get there, but that's sort of their city track. They probably race for a lot more money. And they always have little heats and finals. I think there was a final on Marvel there for €12,000. So, but I think the better class dogs race at Shelbourne Park, that's for sure.
All right, so well done. I'm glad you enjoyed it over there. Your team's going very well. You've got a couple in on Wednesday, Tiffany Keeping and Rich Link. How are you expecting them to go?
Tiffany Keeping's a reserve, so we're not sure yet. But Rich Link, we've had nothing but problems with him ever since we've got him. Obviously, Jason Lincoln and Richie Bell own him, and I'd love to win a race for him because the dog deserves it. But yeah, we've just had niggling little issues with him the whole way through. But just he's first up from a little freshen up, so he's 380, probably not that suited. But if he gets any luck, he can win. But, like I said, I'd love to get a winner for the boys. It's been a bit frustrating for both of us.
Good on you, mate. Well done over the weekend. Hopefully Rich Link goes well on Wednesday for Richie and also Jason. Thanks for joining us and for sharing some of those stories about Ireland.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Have a good one. And I know you're interviewing Norm next, and I missed the ground of the year. Just wanted to congratulate him on a great job he's done for us in the ground industry. So well done, Norm.
Good on you. Shayne Williams joining us on Greyhound Gossip, and we do go now to Norm Goold, who joins us online on Greyhound Gossip. That was Shayne Williams. Norm, congratulations, the 2023 Jerry O'Keefe Award winner. You must have been thrilled. You were there with your family a couple of weeks ago, and a well-deserved award, and you were finally recognised there on a couple of weeks ago on Sunday night.
Good morning, Peter. Yeah, it was a great award to be awarded, and we were very thrilled considering that we haven't trained for so long. And even though I've been an employee, I don't sort of look at awards like that being passed on to someone that's working as a job.
Yeah. Before we go into your career, and it goes back, and I found it interesting delving into some of the history about yourself, which I didn't know about. I see you now as working in the integrity department, but you would have well known Jerry O'Keefe, of which this award is named after. Just explain to us Jerry and also some of the greats that he trained, including the great Sandy's my mum.
Jerry was a great man and a great trainer, and I think being a young trainer at that time, Jerry was a mature trainer, and we all looked up to him with great ability, and he produced his dogs at a brilliant pace, and yeah, he was incredible. Absolutely incredible person.
Greyhound racing in 2024, celebrating its 50th anniversary. We started racing on the 12th of December 1974, and you had a dog race that night that finished unplaced, unfortunately, called Flash Nan in race 6. But let's go back just before 1974. What did you know about greyhound racing, and why did you decide to get involved in greyhound racing when it first started in WA back in 1974?
Oh, right. I lived in Mundijong at the time, and I was working for Alcar, and I met up with Joe Panetta, and Joe was involved in the starting of dog racing, and he talked us into going into dog training, and we went out to Eric Franklin's place, which was out at Dandicott at that time, and they had a track opposite Eric Franklin's property, and we used to do straight track racing there on a Sunday morning. It was no big deal. It was just a bag of kibble, but that's where it all started for me.
Wow. And then you and your wife, Colleen, you had a property, you moved to Maddington, you had a property there where you were based for a while, and you set up a training establishment. Can you remember and explain to us what that first night was like back on the 12th of December 1974?
Oh, it was absolutely unbelievable. You know, sort of the crowd was colossal, and possibly the only nights that equal it would be the Perth Cup night and the fireworks display nights, which used to absolutely full the place.
Yeah, back on New Year's Eve when we had the fireworks. So you were based at Maddington for around 12 years, and then you moved to a block out at Canning Vale, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is now Eric Campana's property? Yeah,
that's right. Eric lives in our property that we built, yes.
And how long were you there for, and did you have to build it from scratch?
Yes, yeah, we built it completely from clearing the bush to building the house and doing all the runs and everything. Harry Lloyd was our next door neighbour. He owned the block next door to us, and he had a litter of pups at the time, and we were rearing them for him in Maddington, and he said, "Oh, you know, why don't you shift out to a bigger place?" And we said, "Oh, yeah," and we sort of didn't pay much attention to it, and he talked us into shifting out there with a little bit of help from him, and because we were rearing all his dogs, and we shifted out there and built the place, and after a few years of having Harry's dogs out there and training Harry's dogs, Harry actually built the house next door to our place, and he owns the property next door, which has been sold now because Harry died long ago. But, yeah, the house next door to our place is the house that was built by Harry Lloyd at the same time as when we went out there.
You would have had at your peak close to 100 greyhounds and pups on that property, but it was probably not enough in the industry back then to be able to make a full-time living of it, and you had another full-time job.
Yeah, I had a full-time job in the meat markets, and Colin used to work in the bank. And, yeah, we had a very, very, very long day doing everything. But, yeah, everything turned out. And we got a few smart winners and bred a few nice, good pups and had some success with our first few litters, and it was all successful.
What were some of the better dogs that you had, Norm, back in those early days?
Oh, there was a lot of good dogs, but, you know, you sort of miss dogs like, you know, Genesis, Duchendorf, Mary's Luck, Little Tender. You know, they just went on and on. And like I showed you that photo, we held the marathon with Golden Token, which was owned by Mick Hart. And she was a pup out of Envy's Luck, one of our first litters that we bred. And Envy's Luck was a sprinter, which we were really surprised about, and she did nothing but run the distance, and sort of Americans sort of unheard of now.
Yeah, so
there's no such thing as the marathon anymore.
We'll put that photo up on our socials today. That was back in 1980. I'm looking at the photo now. A young Dave Robertson's in the photo as well. How long was the marathon back then?
I think it was 864 or 62. I'm not too sure, but it was about 850, bit over 850.
Yep. You go on.
The amazing thing about it, she won the marathon at 17 months of age, which was absolutely incredible back then, considering that Nick Hart, the guy that owned her, took her from us as a pup and bred her in his backyard in Rockingham.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah.
How things have changed since back then. You took a little break, didn't you, for when your first son Blake was born, and besides that you've been involved in greyhound racing, and I'll get to when you started working at Greyhounds WA. So what made you decide to leave training and the greyhounds and the property and start working for Greyhounds WA?
Well, when Colleen got pregnant with Blake, we decided that it wasn't, the racing part of it wasn't a good life to sort of try and raise a family. We thought it was better for the kids to get out of the sort of racing part of it and have a more of a family life with them. And we sort of decided, well, we're only out of the actual greyhound racing part for about 3 or 4 years. Even then, once we shifted from that, we still had a lot of greyhounds because we had boarding kennels for the 3 or 4 years that from stopping training and going into stewarding part. And we had a lot of boarders that were greyhounds.
Yeah.
So it really didn't make that much difference. It just meant that we'd stopped the actual training part and shifted to sort of a family life.
There wasn't much that you and Colleen and your boys haven't done at Cannington, but yourself, I think you were, I read and delved into the history, you were a tractor driver, you've done starting, lure driver, and that was before you even decided to join the integrity department at Rawa.
Yeah, well, mostly, I was always a part-time steward when I started there, and I didn't. I was only stewarding 3 or 4 nights a week, and the rest of the time I was lure driving. I drove the lure at Mandurah and I drove the lure at Cannington. I drove most race meetings for about 10 years, so it was quite involved driving the lure for a long time.
Yeah. It'd be a tough gig, wouldn't it, being a steward, and you've done it for over 30 years now. So what makes you stay involved in the sport?
Oh, just the people. I've known the people my whole life, and I've always had a good rapport with the trainers, and I've never had any bad feelings between me or the trainers. So I've sort of been lucky as far as being a steward because they've always sort of been, I don't know. They sort of always sort of looked on me as sort of knowing what I was doing because I was probably the only person that was really involved in training.
Have you found that, obviously you found that beneficial, and have you been able to share that knowledge with the other stewards over the years in the integrity department?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's quite often there's things come up and they sort of think that the training isn't quite right or something, and I'll have an input on it as a trainer instead of a steward, and I think it's been beneficial to everyone that works there.
You and your family, Colleen, who probably deserves this award as much as you because she's been right by your side for all those years, but 50 years, it's remarkable that you've been involved and still involved to this day. I think you're close to 80, aren't you, Norm? And you've got no plans to retire anytime soon?
Well, I'm a long way from 80, Pete.
Are you?
I'm only 74.
Oh, sorry, mate.
I might feel like 80 sometimes, but yeah, I'm only 74. But it's been if Colleen wasn't so interested in everything, I don't think it would have worked right from the start. We've both been fully interested in it. Both my boys have worked on the track as young boys, and Colleen's worked at the track as a swab collector as well as a judge. So we've all worked at the track a long time.
Yeah, and your boys as well. I've aged you 6 years. Sorry, Norm, I didn't mean to do that to you, mate. You've done a remarkable job. You're a worthy winner of the Jerry O'Keefe Award for 2023. So congratulations on that, and keep up the good work. Love seeing you there on the track each and every week, and hopefully we'll be seeing it for many, many more years to come. Thanks for sharing part of your story this morning with us on Greyhound Gossip.
Thanks very much, Pete.
Good on you.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.
Norm Goold, lovely bloke, lovely family. I apologise for ageing him. That'll get a bit of a laugh with some of the industry and the stewards this morning, but he is a lovely guy and well-deserved. 50 years he's been involved in greyhound racing, and in 2024 we are celebrating our 50th anniversary, so he is one of the stalwarts of our industry. Greyhound racing tonight coming in from Cannington. As I mentioned, a later start. The first now getting underway at 7:20. So Kenling has been put back. A very warm day in Perth today. Currently it's 32.4 degrees and we're expecting a top of 42.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.